Hey everybody, Michelle here. How's it going out there? Happy first day of spring. Do you guys ever get annoyed or just downright angry when you look out the window or you're in your garden walking through it and you see plants that the deer have eaten? Oh, it makes me insane. Well, get pumped up today because we are going to talk about deer resistant plants. We have plants that smell great, look good, and best of all, deer hate them. So let's dive right in and let's try and make your garden a deer-free zone. Deer are becoming a problem in a lot of areas, and I think a lot of people are dealing with deer pressure. It's probably the number one thing that I see in comments is how much deer pressure people actually have. Whereas deer used to be, a rural problem, now it's becoming an urban problem because they are pretty much everywhere. They have a really diverse diet and they'll eat a variety of things. They'll eat crops, grasses, vegetation, acorns, nuts, and they need to eat about 6 to 8% of their body weight in green foliage just to stay healthy. So if you think about a deer that weighs 150 pounds, that's like 12 to 15 pounds of food every single day. That's a lot. That being said, there's a lot of plants out there that deer don't like, that are less palatable to them, and they're really no different than we are. I mean, if we had the choice between eating a bowl of lentils or a piece of chocolate cake, lentils, chocolate cake, I think I'd pick the chocolate cake. Well, the deer will pick what's more appetizing to them as well. And guess what? Hostas, that's like deer candy to them. So if you have really high deer pressure in your area, hostas is something that maybe you shouldn't be planting in your garden. But we'll talk about some things that you can put in instead. We certainly don't want to lay out a salad bar for them. I mean, think about how expensive it is to keep replacing all of those plants out there. And yes, deer repellents, a lot of them work and you can use those, but that can get expensive too. So let's take the approach of deer resistant plants first. Also, deer will not eat poisonous plants. So fox poppies, daffodils, things that are poisonous in your garden, they will stay away from. They just know not to eat them. I don't know, animals have some kind of sixth sense about that. They also will turn their nose up at really super fragrant plants too. They have like a strong scent. A lot of herbs are deer resistant, like sages, salvias, lavenders, peonies, bearded iris. They just put off this fragrance that the deer don't like. But you're going to find that no matter what, deer, just like people, they have different preferences. And I think that based on where you live, those preferences can change based on what is growing in your area. So a deer that lives here in Illinois might eat something totally different in Washington because what you grow there is different and what they've had to eat is different. So everything I'm about to say, hopefully it applies for the most part, but just remember, you could accidentally plant something that I put on this list, but the deer that live at your area, they might love it and eat it. So there is no foolproof way 100% to keep the deer from eating everything. All you can do is follow the guidelines and hope that what you're planting will not be eaten by the deer and that they'll eat something else. The goal is that you're not making it so attractive with all the things that you put in your yard that they want to come and eat everything in your garden. The goal is that hopefully they're eating somewhere else. How do I know if I have deer? Okay, well, deer walk on hooves, and hooves have 2 separate cleats. That's what these are called. So when they walk and they're in the snow or the mud, they'll leave an imprint and you'll be able to see that. Now you can look on the internet for more examples of hoof prints, but that would be one sign that you know you have deer because you see their tracks. All right, not that I ever wanted to talk about poop on my channel, but deer scat is another way to know if you have deer eating in your garden because they'll go to the bathroom. I think they look like little black beans, but this is an example of deer scat or deer poop. Another way you can tell you have deer is by looking at your plants. Deer are pretty messy eaters and they'll leave foliage around where they've pulled off the leaves from your plants. Now, what happens is they end up like shredding or tearing the leaves because they only have incisors on the bottom lower jaw. And so therefore they can't get a nice clean cut. If you were to have a rabbit or another herbivore eating, you're going to have a clean cut kind of down at an angle because they have incisors on the top and the bottom, and they get a nice clean cut. So deer are pretty messy and you can usually tell the difference just by looking at the ripped up foliage. Oh my God, how many of you have looked out the window and seen that happening? I have. Now, let me tell you, let's be frank. There really are no plants that are 100% deer proof. I don't care what the tag says. If food is scarce enough, if it's been a hard winter, if they are starving, they will eat pretty much anything. Now, you're going to have your heaviest browsing by the deer, and it's going to happen between October and February, especially if we have difficult winter months. So just know this is all to help you deer-proof your property, but I don't know that you can make it 100% deer-proof if we have a really hard winter. Now, we haven't had a hard winter here in Northern Illinois for quite a few years, but doesn't mean we won't get one, and it doesn't mean that other people in other areas aren't having hard winters right now or just came through one right now, and the deer are starving. Well, look, you guys, if you plant an herb garden, most herbs are deer-resistant. Look at this. Hyssop, mint, rosemary, sage, dill, calendula, oregano, tarragon, parsley, lemon balm, chives, lots of deer resistance in herbs. So maybe interplant some herbs in your garden because some of these put off a really strong smell and deer don't like that. I feel like Alice on the Brady Bunch. Look at all of these annuals that you can grow. These you can put in pots and put them in your landscaping, or you could plant some of these in the ground. The cleomes, I plant those every single year. They are bold, they are beautiful, and they are so easy to grow. I also like the straw flowers and the zinnias because you can grow them from seed relatively easy and very, very cheaply. But flower power all summer long and deer resistant. What's not to love about this group of flowers? Other ones that you can do as well would be like daffodil bulbs that you can plant in the fall, the ranunculus corms that you can plant early spring, the snowdrops that you can plant. Those are also little bulbs that you plant in the fall. And then you've got statice and snapdragons, both of which for me are annuals, but these would look great in the garden too. And these are also deer resistant. Also, if you want to know what vegetables are deer resistant, here's your list. Onions, artichokes, fennels, carrots, eggplants. Everything that I've listed here, these are the ones that the deer won't eat. There are plenty of vegetables they will eat, but they don't like these. Let's take a look at perennials first. I broke them up into shade and sun so that you could see the different ones that are deer resistant. Now, I also put the zones in each picture so that you could see that, but remember, there are exceptions to every rule on this, and this is just where the majority of the cultivars will grow. Also, this is not an all-inclusive list, you guys. I'm sure there's other ones out there, but this will get you going. I thought it was a pretty good list to give you a pretty good start. So let's take a look at perennials. Okay, so I'm going to put ground cover in the video, even though I hate talking about ground cover. Not one person better leave a bad, nasty comment below. All right, ground cover that is deer resistant are the ones that I've listed here, and I put in big, bold letters, caution, caution. I don't know how ground cover reacts in different places. Most of these are pretty, what they call behaved. I think the lily of the valley can be pretty aggressive. Those would be careful with that one. And there's another one, I think it's called Cordalius. That one will freely seed everywhere, so be careful with that one. Just remember, they can be invasive, so plant at your own risk, and if they go all over, you can't blame me. All right, ground covers. I hope that you were able to find something that you loved in the perennial list and something that will help you in your garden. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about trees and shrubs. We're not going to talk about it. I'm going to show you a little slideshow about the different trees and shrubs that you can grow that are deer resistant. These are backed up by studies, and they're also backed up by the growers who grow them. And there's been tests done that show that deer typically don't eat these plants. Now, I didn't talk about very specific cultivars. I talked about it more in a broad general sense, like junipers. Deer don't like to eat junipers, and so that's on the list, but I don't talk about specific individual ones that you can get because you kind of have to find the one that works for you. I did list the light conditions of the plants, and I did list the zones again. And again, there's exceptions to every rule, so keep that in mind. But hopefully you're going to find one in this list that you will like and that will help you be more deer resistant in your garden. Oh, and again, this is not an all-inclusive list. I'm sure there's other ones out there besides this. And if you know of one that is fabulous and I didn't put it in the video, list it down below so other people can benefit from your knowledge. Oh. Now, there is certainly nothing that you can do if you already have these trees planted in your yard, but guess what? These are the ones that deer love. So if you have deer damage on them, you're going to probably see the trees eaten up to 6 feet. And if you get a lot of snow, your tree line might be at 9 feet because they'll get up on the snowbanks and eat up high. So they just love these trees. And you know what? If you have a lot of deer pressure and you're thinking about planting a tree, just don't plant one of these because there are other ones that you can plant that they don't. I feel like I have to wrap this up by talking about deer repellents because that is out there and people do use them and they can be effective. I do know, and I'm going to link it below, that Erin over at the Impatient Gardener did a video and it was really good about what she does specifically and what she uses specifically in her yard to help her repel deer because she has I think so. All right, the first one I saw was human hair. All right, it said that you're supposed to go to your barber or your hairdresser and collect a bag full of hair and then stuff a handful of it into old pantyhose and then tie those around on your trees and shrubs. I don't know if this works or not. I don't know. I don't think that would work. But if anybody's ever done it and it works, leave your comments down below. We'd love to know. Another one that was out there, and this one, oh my gosh, I'm like, okay, who does this? Get wild animal manure. How do you get wild animal manure? Okay, oh, go to the zoo and collect some. So what? You go to the zoo and you go, can I talk to the head zookeeper, please? And then can I get some animal pee so I can spread it around my garden? I don't know if that's possible, but they're saying that would scare the deer away. I don't know about that one. Another one is about rotten eggs. Now, this one sounds a little more plausible because a lot of the active ingredients in repellents has to do with egg solids. So maybe this one would work. I don't know that I want to do it though because it stinks. Rotten eggs smell horrible. And I don't know that I want to smell that all over my garden because that would be pretty offensive to me. I'm sure it's offensive to the deer, but it says that you could mix your own and mix 5 rotten eggs in 5 quarts of water. And then you put that in a sprayer and you spray your plants with it. Oh, I don't know that I want to do that. All right. Another one that I thought was a little more credible was the soap one, where you go get Irish Spring, which they say is the best one to use, and you either drill a hole in it or you put it down into a mesh bag and you hang it up all around the perimeter of your garden, or you hang it in the trees on the edge of your property, or you put it in your shrubs, and that is supposed to repel the deer. Now, I don't know if that works or not. You would think after a time, if you just drilled a hole in it on string, if it rains a lot, that's going to be on the ground pretty soon. So I'm not sure if that would work or not. If you guys tried any of these, Leave me your comments. All right, here was one that I thought might work. String up fishing line. Create a border around a plant bed or other area that attracts deer using fishing line. Just remember you did it so that you don't trip over the fishing line. You're supposed to string fishing line 2 to 3 feet above the ground. I would be the person that would forget that I did it and fall face first into my garden because I tripped on the fishing line. But apparently the deer run into it, get confused, and then they're supposed to run away. I don't know if that would work or not. For me, I would fall down. The other one is they say to mix or to sprinkle cinnamon around the garden, that they don't like the smell of cinnamon. Also hot sauce, garlic powder, liquid dish soap, and water. And I know I use herbs in my garden and they don't like mint, oregano, sage, and thyme. So maybe planting those in your garden and the smell that they put off will help deter them a little bit away from your garden as well. But these were some of the home remedies that I've heard about. Have you guys ever done a home remedy to get rid of your deer, and did it work? We don't want to hear about ones that we don't know 100% we're proving you did it and it worked. I don't know. I don't know if any of these would work, but weigh in below, you guys. Was this video helpful? I sure hope it was. I sure hope that it helps you become a little more deer resistant in your garden. I've never really had to deal with deer pressure until recently. And even last year, there wasn't enough deer damage that it made me want to go, oh, I got to break out the repellent, or I have to totally change how I'm gardening. But I do know that some of you really face that. I hope that the list will help you incorporate some things into your garden that will help. I know for me, I probably will have to start doing a little more thinking about deer as they come closer and closer and closer into my property. So I know that that's something I'm going to have to battle further on down the road. I know I said I would talk about rabbits, but I think that that's another video because rabbits are a little bit different than deer as far as what they do and how to not have them in your garden. And I battle them the most in my vegetable garden. So I thought when I start the vegetable series, that's when I'm going to talk about rabbits, because rabbits, some pesky little things, can be just as much as a nuisance. And while I'm talking about rabbits, I thought maybe I'd hit on squirrels and groundhogs too, because those little guys, even though I don't personally deal with groundhogs, a lot of people do, and a lot of people have made comments about it. So watch for that video to come out probably in April. It'll come out on a Monday when I talk about the vegetable series. So you guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope that you got something out of it and that this helps you. And remember, if you plant a garden today, it means you believe in tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next video, you guys. Bye, everybody.